Hey everyone, welcome back to another Go Battle League video. Today I'm going to be showcasing another team with Trevenant. This one, another very strong team that I had a lot of success with. I ended up running 4 sets with it and went 3-2 every single set. The first one, I actually played one battle with a different team, lost, and then used it. So I went 3-1 technically the first set, and then 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. Anyways, getting into the first battle here, we have Ampharos on the lead and a Scavalier switching, so I'm just going to switch Swampert. By the way, this team does have Alolan Muk and Swampert in the back. It is a pretty solid core with a couple core breakers, but overall it is very solid. And Trevenant in the lead makes it pretty balanced. I'm going to throw this Hydro Cannon at the Ascav. My opponent lets it go. He's actually going to shield up the second one. So if he gets to a move here... Ooh, it is a CMP tie, so very good counting by my opponent. I let the drill run go. It doesn't do enough to take me out, so I will be able to win the one shield. But my opponent double shields, so I'm going to switch into a Alolan Muk and try and farm down. This is pretty gutsy. My opponent does get to a move, so I will have to shield the super effective drill run. But this gives me an energy advantage, and my opponent has Ampharos. I've been seeing so many Ampharos today. I don't know if it's the algorithm. I don't know if someone made a video on it. But I've seen so many of these today, and this team likes to see it. Swampert and Trevenant have good matchups against Ampharos, but Alolan Muk has a pretty neutral matchup too, so Ampharos doesn't really have any safety against this team. Anyways, we have a Snorlax in the back, and this should be pretty straightforward. My opponent doesn't have a shield. I'm going to go straight for these Dark Pulses. And I should be taking out the Snorlax. Yeah, the superpower isn't going to be enough to KO, and I'm going to be able to take that game. Alright, getting into the next one. We have Dragonite on the lead. I did see a lot of these on the lead today. I was thinking I needed a fairy type lead, so I was thinking about running a fairy type, like a Sylveon lead, with a backline of maybe like Trevenant Swampert or something like that. But I've already made a video with Nidoqueen and Sylveon and Swampert right when the Ultra Premier first came out, and I didn't want to make a similar team. Anyways, I successfully baited the Dragonite, and I think I might have outpaced it to the Shadow Ball, or it would have been a CMP, but my opponent catches the Shadow Ball, which is absolutely fine, because this is a Poison Jab Alolan Muk. One Dark Pulse will get me into the yellow, but I can Hydro Cannon and farm down here, and this is pretty comfortable. Yeah, it does about 50%, but at this point I can farm all the way down, and I have a lot of loaded energy for this Dragonite in the back. So I'm going to throw one right away, even if my opponent had like a Kingdra in the back, it would have been fine. But my opponent lets it go, and is I think he forces a CMP here, and I'm going to shield the Dragon Claw. Bank the move and farm the Dragonite down, and look at this, another Ampharos in the back. And this is perfectly fine. I'm just going to throw an Acid Spray here. Try and get the shield from my opponent. He doesn't fall for it, but at this point I can just throw another Acid Spray. He does get to a move. I think this could be a Dragon Pulse, Thunder Punch. It's not Thunder Punch. Okay. And I throw one more. I'm actually going to throw the Dark Pulse because I get to the moves at the same time. And my opponent just lets it go, which is smart. I would have been able to throw the Hydro Cannon in the back, so there's nothing my opponent could have done there. Alright, we have a pretty tough lead here with Crobat. I'm going to switch into Alolan Muk, and my opponent comes in with Snorlax. So it appears that my opponent does not have a solid answer to an Alolan Muk safe swap. I'm going to just throw off these Dark Pulses. My opponent shields the first one, which is super ballsy, because if that's an Acid Spray, you're screwed. Because if that's an Acid Spray, I can Dark Pulse and farm down, and win the even shields with ease. But he's going to shield the first one. I respect it. And at this point, I will match him in shields. And I might even potentially go down in shields to be able to farm down. Ooh, no, I'm going to catch on the Trevenant. This is fine. My opponent probably needs to switch out to Crobat immediately. He could keep the Snorlax as a sack swap, but no, he just lets me farm him down, which I think is a crucial mistake. So I'm going to get to the Shadow Ball. Likely gets shielded, right? But that's fine. And at this point, I'm just going to shield any Poison Fang, get to the Shadow Ball, and my opponent doesn't even throw. And that's huge. I think this is probably game. Doesn't even matter what my opponent has in the back. Has an Obstagoon. I'm up a shield. I think this game, yeah, this is game over. I'm going to let the first Night Slash go in case my opponent gets the boost. Always want to be wary of that. And I think what I can do is just throw a Hydro and an Earthquake. And then it doesn't even matter. Gets to the second Night Slash at the CMP. I think I ended up forcing the CMP. And at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to get crafty here and catch on my Amok. Completely unnecessary catch, but it's just going to cement the victory for me. I do have an Acid Spray banked, so I can throw that. And at this point, I can just come back in with Swampert and throw the Hydro Cannon. I win CMP. My opponent doesn't even have enough for a Night Slash. He's still 3 counters away, so this is GG. Alright, so first 3 games, we got 3 wins. The success doesn't stay this good through the entire video, but overall, we're getting positive sets here, and that's all that matters. Alright, Trevenant in the lead. This is... oh, my opponent wins CMP, so I have to make a tough call. Do I shield the potential Shadow Ball? No, I do not, and I get boomed. I totally thought, okay, my opponent's going to bait here, like it's in the lead. Nope. And I have a Alolan Muk, but if you win the lead that dominantly, you can just switch out of it, keep that Pokemon for later. And now I'm down 3 Pokemon to 2. So I have to play perfectly. I have to make all the right calls. So I am going to throw this Earthquake right off the bat. And it goes through. That is huge. But my opponent is still up a shield. Has a pretty healthy Trevenant, and I have an Alolan Muk and a Dream. I'm not going to shield Swampert. I'm not going to bother. There's no reason to. And I do throw the Acid Spray. I definitely could have tried farming down. 1, 2, 3. Actually, my opponent doesn't get to a move. And it's an Nidoqueen in the back. So got pretty hard counter in the... well, like that game is so dependent on winning lead, right? Because my opponent had Empoleon, which would be okay for Alolan Muk. And then Swampert would beat Nidoqueen super hard. But that's okay. 3-1 in the first set, getting into set number 2. I did take a couple battles out, either where like I hard countered my opponent, or I got hard countered, or like just games that weren't very exciting. So I did take out at least 1 win, and I did take out, I think, 1 or 2 losses. So trying to make the video a little bit more entertaining, get more worthwhile gameplay for you guys. Anyways, we do have an Obstagoon lead. I switch into Swampert, and my opponent does not seem to have an answer to Swampert. He's going for the Night Slash, and he actually gets the boost. So he can go down 2 shields to 0 and have a pretty healthy matchup. No, he actually lets it go. And at this point, he does have a move banked. I'm going to come in with Trevenant and farm 2 Shadow Claws instead of coming with Amok and reveal my team to him. He obviously has an answer to this thing in the back if he didn't switch out the lead. What is that answer going to be? It's Charizard. Okay, well that's not good. But let's see. Ooh, he actually catches the Shadow Ball on Crobat. So he has double flyer in the back. So Trevenant has nowhere to go on this team. But what I want to do is I want to stay in with Trevenant because Alolan Muk has a more bearable matchup on Charizard, I guess. Alolan Muk does resist all of the charge moves from Crobat, but doesn't mean that you want to take a Shadow Ball. But my opponent Poison Fangs to get this Air Slash damage, and I'm successfully able to farm down. Now my opponent has a shield. I want to make him think I'm going to spray him, so I go for the Dark Pulse, and it lands. And I get to the Acid Spray anyways, and this is huge. I think this is going to be game, because now my opponent has to shield the Acid Spray, and he has to get to 2 moves on my Alolan Muk and be able to farm down Trevenant. So there's just no way, and my opponent goes down. So very tough decision for my opponent. I think he probably should have switched into Crobat. Like Shadow Crobat can beat Swampert in the 2 shields with straight Poison Fang. So you live and you learn, though. Maybe my opponent learned that maybe next time he should switch out of a Swampert switch in when he has such a dominant lead matchup. Lapras is pretty neutral, I want to say, because you both are doing super effective damage. It's a lot better for Lapras if they have Ice Beam, but Seed Bomb is pretty devastating. So I'm going to go for the second one here. Does get the second shield for my opponent, so he does double shield right off the bat. And at this point, I'm going to let the Surf go, and I will be able to get to a 3rd Seed Bomb. So this matchup is not looking too bad. At this point, I do need to save my Trev as a sack swap. I'm going to come into Alolan Muk because that is my safe swap, and my opponent has Machamp. Okay, this is pretty good. I'm going to throw this Acid Spray. I'm actually able to live a Cross Chop, and I'll probably be able to get to another Spray. But my opponent also could get to 2 Cross Chops. I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't counting his energy. I'm going to get this Acid Spray off, and this is going to be taking my opponent really low. And at this point, one more Poison Jab will take him out. My opponent still does have that Lapras in the back, but I'm up a shield with Swampert. What am I going to do? I'm going to let the Surf go, okay? I'm going to try and farm this thing down. I probably should have tried to sack swap my Trevenant here, but I expend a shield and my opponent has Swampert. And he sneaks a fast move through. Okay, this game's not over. Yeah. I should have gone for the Earthquake here, in hindsight. Because this Hydra is not going to KO. I'm going to come in with Trevenant. He's going to throw a move. But my opponent had a lot of energy. And as you can see, he's going to get this Hydra off. I'm in the yellow. And it just depends on how much this does. Yeah, it gets me too low into the red. I choked this matchup very hard. There were a lot of different technical win cons that I just didn't find, and I ended up losing the game as a result. So, very instructive game there. Hopefully you can learn something out of it. Go back and watch it again if you want to try and figure out what I could have done right. But I'm going to get into the next batch here. We have another Obstagoon lead, so I am going to come into Swampert yet again. I realized that I think Swampert is the right call to go in against Obstagoon. Like, they either have a grass type or they don't. And Alolan Muk, like, you're not really threatening Obstagoon if you switch in with it, because, like, you throw an Acid Spray, they switch, and Dark Pulse doesn't do much. So that's why my thought process is to go into Swampert and just kind of pray for the best. Anyways, I get the Earthquake to land, and I have my opponent shield the Hydro Cannon, so we're not in too bad of a position, but at this point I am going to reveal the rest of my team to my opponent, and it appears he's not running Cross Chop, because he's just throwing a Night Slash here. He's going to get to another move, and let's see if he actually is running Cross Chop or not. Another Night Slash, okay. I don't know if he was fishing for the boost, or if he just did not have Cross Chop, but at this point my opponent has Nidoqueen in the back. I can get this Dark Pulse off, and this will be doing some nice neutral damage. It's just all going to come down to what my opponent has in the back, and it's a Crobat. Okay. Let's see if we can make something happen here. Going to shield up the Poison Fang. I have 2 shields. I really just have to shield anything at this point. Going to throw 1 Shadow Claw to not let my opponent get a full fast move through. Get the Shadow Ball off. And my opponent lets it go. That's huge. And at this point, I think I'm going to farm down. Okay. So there's hope. Gonna throw the Seed Bomb here. I think if this gets a shield, I'll be able to get to a 2nd Seed Bomb. And it does get shielded. And my opponent throws a Fang here. I'm gonna actually shield this up. And I'm gonna get to the Seed Bomb here. I overfarmed just a little bit. And that's actually pretty bad. I should have probably under-tapped and then switch into Alolan Muk. Is this gonna be a Poison Jab down? Oh no, we get the Acid Spray, and I think that's a CMP tie. I think that's a CMP, and we're going to win CMP? It's either that or my opponent tried to overfarm. I think if my opponent was able to get to the Earth Power and take me out, we would have tied, because a Poison Jab would have taken my Trevenant out. But anyways, we're going to take that matchup. Hey, I'll take it. Alright, next battle we have a Lapras lead and a Nidoqueen safe swap. This is nice. Swampert feasts on Nidoqueen. And just going to tank these Poison Fangs like a champ. And I throw 5 more, get to this Hydro. And at this point, I am totally assuming that this Hydro is going to KO. I'm like, okay, cool, I get to the CMP, this goes down. No. He gets another Poison Fang, so my defense is going to be dropped again. I'm going to go down probably to about 50% health. Yeah, just about exactly. But I do have some energy. Does this Lapras want to come back in, or does my opponent have a better response? He doesn't want to reveal the rest of his team, so I am going to throw this Earthquake. I'm very fine taking his shield, very fine getting this damage off. The damage does go through. At this point, I get him down to about 50%, and I'm actually going to threaten him to throw here. I was going to try and get to that Earthquake. I could have thrown a Hydro, but it wouldn't be doing much damage. And at this point, I do have the alignment that I want. I have 2 Pokemon versus this Crobat. I'm up a shield. Everything is going right in this match. So I'm going to throw a Dark Pulse. Shields are up. Does my opponent think I'm baiting? He shields it. Okay. Very nice shield by my opponent. An Acid Spray bait would be nice there. But what I've been realizing with Alolan Muk, a lot of people think that you're going to bait, so there's a lot of times where Dark Pulse can take your opponents by surprise. Anyways, I throw the second Dark Pulse, and my opponent shields. Or he lets it, no, he doesn't. He lets it go. I think I'm going mental. I think if he would have shielded, I would have been able to safely get to the Shadow Ball on my Trevenant. And at this point, this matchup is pretty straightforward. I do go ahead and shield this move. Not for the fact that, like, I thought it would be an Ice Beam, but just because I didn't think my opponent would be getting to 2 moves. At this point, Seed Bomb takes my opponent out, and I can just farm it down. I think I would have even lived Poison Fang, so pretty safe win there. But that is another dub. I'm at 1442 wins in the Ultra League, and that was another 3-2. Alright, getting into the next battle here. Okay, Porygon 2 Spice. I like it. Let's see how this thing fares against Trevenant. I think it probably wouldn't be too bad, because Zap Cannon is pretty threatening. Seed Bomb does do about, let's say 30%, 30-35. And let's see, is this the Zap Cannon? I was totally like welcoming the Zap Cannon. I was like, hey man, bring it on. I want to see how much it does. I wanted to see the sciences. I already hit Legend. I'm not too concerned about the push. And my opponent is farming up a lot of energy. I'm able to get this 3rd Seed Bomb off before they get a 2nd move through. So they have to shield, and now they come into Charizard, and I have Swampert. So, oh, I remember this battle. This battle's spicy. Blast Burn does go through. Good play by my opponent, getting the big damage off. Gonna get this Hydro through. I think at this point what I'm going to do is I'll take a shield away from myself just to ensure that my opponent doesn't get too much more damage off. And then I will farm it down. So I have 2 Hydros loaded. And let's see what my opponent has in the back. He does come back in with Porygon 2. I'm just going to throw a Hydro here. This could most likely get a shield. Oh, and it does get a shield. And my opponent has 0 shields left. Alright, Tri-Attack. I live the Tri-Attack. Oh my gosh. Swampert is a tank. Not really, but, wow, I really thought Porygon 2 would have done more damage. But at this point, I'm up a shield. My opponent has an Escav, but I can just let the Amok go down and then just finish the opponent off with Trevenant. So this is going to be another GG. And we're going to take the win. Drill Run will take me down pretty low. Does about 65%. But at this point, I think a Seed Bomb would even do enough with the Shadow Claw damage to take this Escavalier out. I do respect the Aerial Ace Spice. My opponent actually opting not to run Mega Horn. Just, I guess, for a little bit more flying type coverage. Alright, we have a Gyarados lead. I remember this battle very well, too. So I only farm up to 6 and throw the seed bomb, and there's a reason behind this. I want my opponent to let this damage go through. I actually do want to win switch with Trevenant here. I think that it matters with the Gyarados lead. There's so many different team combos with Gyarados in the lead. I also definitely should have farmed a bit more. I should have farmed up at least one more Shadow Claw, because my opponent wasn't close to his second crunch. But he actually has triple water. I mean, we've seen this team before, right? It's Gyarados, Lapras, Swampert. Has some nice grass type coverage with Gyarados and Lapras. Like, there's no Ferrothorn to core break the team. It's very viable. I think, like, Swampert just has such a good matchup against Muk. And Trevenant doesn't really want to see Gyarados or Lapras. I mean, it's pretty neutral versus both of them, but the only real comfortable matchup is against Swampert, so... Oof, my opponent's counting really, really well here, so my opponent is playing a very smooth game. Gonna force the CMP to the move, and at this point, I am just gonna come straight into Swampert, try and catch on Trevenant, but my opponent is very, very aware of my desires. Lets the Seed Bomb go through, and I think he's gonna get to a Surf here. Gonna be able to farm me down, and we're just in such a bad spot. I was thinking at this point, Hydro would KO, or at least come close. So I let the Surf go through, obviously, because I don't have shields. But I farm up. Okay, no, yeah, this game's over, right? My opponent still has Swampert in the back. Yeah, I'm just too low. I was like, okay, I can farm up a little extra energy. This will take out the Lapras, and then I get to a Hydro on... No, Lapras is just too tanky. So there is nothing I could have done. That's okay. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people in YouTube comment sections complaining about how just absolutely busted Swampert is, and I agree, but there definitely are counters to it, like especially Trevenant. So bad lead with Charizard, bad switch in with Swampert. How are we gonna win this game? I don't even know if we are. But no, I remember this match too. This match was fun, and it all comes down to what my opponent has in the back. So my opponent Earthquakes me. That's fine. I'm just gonna farm down with Trevenant. I'm low-key gonna use this as a meat shield and just tank all the damage. I was assuming my opponent would only get to 2 Hydros, but this is an Earthquake. And I don't know why people Earthquake me. Hydro is more energy efficient. And at this point I was like, okay, my opponent's 5 away from a move, like I can just farm down. And no, he gets to another Hydro, so... I mean, pretty smart. It gets to a Hydro and an Earthquake, so... I am... Oh, I don't know, I'm so tired. I'm gonna Hydro this... Nope, I'm gonna Shadow Ball this Charizard. My opponent has a Gengar in the back. So ABA weak to Swampert. And you can see that this definitely ends up biting him. So I'm gonna throw this Hydro. My opponent has a shield. Let's it go through. And at this point, I am going to farm down. I do make a crucial decision. I let the Shadow Punch go, noticing that my opponent only had enough to get to a Shadow Punch there. That way I am able to shield Charizard. I think if he would have been able to get to a Blast Burn, if I didn't shield, or if I did shield that Shadow Punch, it may have come close to KOing. But at this point, I have 2 Hydros. First one gets shielded. Second one goes through. My opponent does get a Wing Attack through, but at this point, like, it's fine. I get it into the red, and Seed Bomb will KO. And that is a GG. I think we have one more battle here. So, thanks for sticking with me. If you did make it this far, I really, really do appreciate the support. And we're like rearing in on 300 subs, which is crazy to me. I really never thought when I started like 6 months ago that I would be hitting 300 subs, let alone 100. So I just wanted to thank you guys for all the recent support. It's been the last few months. It's been more than recent. Anyways, I'm diverting you guys' attention away from the fact that this is an absolute hard counter match. I definitely could have taken this one out of the video, but you can see that my opponent just was not ready for Trev. And you can actually see, so my opponent has Machamp, Magnezone. Okay, so what does he have in the back? Something that has to be pretty good against Trevenant, right? So I come back in, I'm going to shield the first move. This could be Payback, this could be Rock Slide. I don't want to take that damage, but my opponent cross-chop baits me, which is very nice. At this point, even if it's Payback, I'm just going to let it go through. But my opponent Rock Slides, so he doesn't have it. And he has Ampharos in the back, so he has Fighter double Electric. I think my opponent's trying to pioneer something that I just don't think will ever become meta, because this team just has way too many weaknesses. Like, you have a ground weakness, you have a weakness, big weakness to Gliscor, big weakness to Trevenant, pretty big weakness to Swampert, and Nidoqueen. Like, there's just too many things to beat it. But, yeah, good attempt. He makes it a battle, takes out a whole 2 of my Pokemon. And, oh no, he doesn't even take out 2. My Trevenant lives with literally 1 HP, and my opponent's had enough. Anyways, I would definitely recommend running this team. It's a very, very solid, very technical team. Another 3-2. So I actually didn't have any negative sets with this team today, but I just wanted to showcase it. A very solid team. Can get some consistent elo gains. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.